Sorry about the end of last video. I have now taken my phone call and slept and eaten breakfast and lunch. I mean, it's a day later is what I'm trying to say. So we were here. You remember, one thing I'm just going to do, I'm just going to crank the font size of the label, the actual label, not the total label, to 50 is too big, right? So actually I'm not. I'll make it 20. Yeah, that should be alright. So that if we've got, say, I don't know, 80 minutes, that looks like this. Okay, so let's blank it again and go then to our blocks. So we were going to just do this one, set label to the text of label 2. So label 2, we've called it total, if you remember, right, to the global total time. So that's a set, but so I can access it straight from total's own blocks, and that's the set total text, I suppose. I mean, you can. It's just you just need a set and a get, right? Because like you can take total. Like, so this was background color. No, it's not liking it. Actually, the text. Huh? It is. Well, maybe I shouldn't have used that one. So it's total. The blocks of total, and we want set total text. Set total text. Right, and to get global, so we can just hover. No, it was total time, not minutes list. Get global total time. And yes, so I had an error because of course I hadn't plugged the value into it, but now I've got a value block, I'm fine. And so this is what it should look like. There's an initialize. Let's see if they have the clever, because in Scratch as well, you do, yeah, clean up blocks. Boom. It didn't really clean them up. I mean, you could have cleaned them up in the middle rather than, I mean, the corner rather than in the middle, is what I'm trying to say, but it does look like what they said, right? We initialize the empty list, we initialize the total to 0, obviously, and when the button's clicked, that's most of our action. We immediately have a local min that's going to store the value of the text box, the text of the text box, and then we're just going to add that mins to global and add the total time to mins to the total time, and then send the total text to the total time. No, I've done that wrong. It's total time. Right? We set total time to get total time plus mins. I knew this is what I was slowing down. This is where it's helpful to check. So now that I've fixed that, yes, it does look like this. So you know, when they do show you this, because it really looked the same, but I had a mistake. I didn't do it on purpose, but this has here's a lesson here, kids. Always check and double check and triple check, because if it doesn't work, it's like you must have forgotten something, because they know what it's like. So you know, it's just a matter of looking. All right, straight on to saving the information. Right now, your app only saves information so long as the app is running, right? Fair enough. Much more useful for it to remember your exercise times even after you close the app and restart it, right? This is presumably a rhetorical question. I can't really answer to that question. I'm going to say yes. To do this, we'll need to store the information in a file on the phone or tablet and read from this file every time the app starts. Okay, so in the designer view, we're going to have the file component. So the designer evidently is not just about the interface designer. We also can deal with, is it on storage presumably? Yeah, in storage we're gonna have a file. So what do I just dragged it here? No. Oh. Say add the file. Just check it. Oh yeah, okay, no, that happened. You drag it onto the viewer, not, and then it appears in the component. All right, so it's called file 1. It's gone on the screen 1, interestingly. In that it's, yeah, okay, that pertains to. It's odd because like the file shouldn't really be linked to the screen, but anyway, let's move on. Now go to blocks and click on file 1 to get the block called. They did tell you, in fairness, I was looking for in the first video, as you'll recall, or the second one, which one was that? Get the block called file 1 append to file. Let's do good set level text. So we're still within the scope of our local, certainly a button, or in that the local variable, because we can see the brown edge, right? But it's most importantly, it's really in the scope of our, God, how that's called? Doesn't matter. Event handlers. So when the button is clicked, it's like, how do you handle this event? So we are going to use from the file and set. Do we call the file 1 append to file? So append means, you know, add to the end. The text and the file name. And what does that do? It takes 2 parameters. That's the name. Parameters are the things that you plug on the right-hand side. The first parameter is the text that you want to store in the file, fair enough. And the second one is the name you want to use for storage. So this file is a file handler. The idea is that it's not obvious that your file is not actually called file name. You will, so the text is the global. We can probably duplicate that, right click, not disable, duplicate, yeah. So that's the text that we're gonna add, and the file name, what it tells us to do for the file name. Parameter a double quote blocks from text, and we just hard code. Hard code means that it's static, so it's in text, and we're gonna code it as it in hard, as in not in soft that can be changed, but like this is just written in the code, and you can't change it from the app itself. This is what it means. What was this called? The hard coded thing, exercise tracker.txt, rather aptly named tracker, so it's capital E capital T dot txt. Excellent. Splendid. For the text parameter, so join block. Oh no, we're not getting mins. We join get min and a text \n, which is the \n is the carriage return. So again, it's a text block, right? It's a join operation. We're going to plug it in that parameter, and we're going to first we get the global time, and then we have a literal, as in a hard-coded, as in not a variable, literal \n, and \n is the paragraph, the carriage return, the return key, the thing at the rightmost, or return enter, it's the same thing, right? And that means that our text is going to look like a whole bunch of times one after the other. So the idea is every time you close the app, it's going to write whatever the value of, and you'll notice it's mins. Yes, it is mins because it is not the global. We want whatever was we want like all of the, so I hover over again, mins, yes, here, so it wasn't the right one. Which means that what we're going to do is because we're summing, we're just adding to the total time, because we're going to write that. We also need to load it, since presumably the next thing, so that, what did I just type? I think we know, but like we did type a special combination of character used to when you want to get into a new line in a text. Yeah, it's taking the number of minutes that the user typed in, the one that the user just typed in when they've clicked the save button, right? Not the total, as I initially went a bit too quickly and did. And so every time adding a new line at the end before saving it to the file. Getting text. This means that each time the user enters a number of minutes, it will be saved on a separate line in the text file with name exercise tracker.txt. We could even go farther and set like a full record, along with the date and the time of the exercise. That could be also a useful thing, but one thing at a time. I'm sure that that's probably an optional bonus. The call is asynchronous, meaning it will go and read the file and then tell you when it's done. Oh, sorry, that's not. I'm just going too fast. Yeah. Now we've saved. We need to read when the app loads. So take a when screen one initialize block. So this is about, now this is a block that is linked to the whole screen, and just like the elements of the screen, including the arrangements, which are really non-functional and what we would call cosmetic, right? It's a look thing. It's not a function code, programmatic thing. So this is screen one. Which one was it? Initialize. Initialize, that's the one. So this is our initialization block for screen one. And we're going to want a storage, which was a purple. Oh, I can probably just like get it from file, right? This is read from. We're going to read from, we can duplicate our file name exercise tracker. That's a cool way of making sure you're not making, because it's easy to, if you want to type the same one, but there's a typo in one of them, it's not going to work. So this means that when, and chuck that in here, when the screen is initialized, which means when it loads, which is going to be when the app opens, never ends those notifications, I'm very sorry. We are going to read from the file name and load that. So this is the thing. What this does is this kind of, where it's quite enough. What this does is this will load whatever is saved in exercise tracker into file one, and load its state from that. So we may need to actually load our global minutes list. That's the one, right? And similarly, so this is going to do it. It's synchronous, meaning that like it's not going to block. It's going to be not so in Scratch, for instance. That's why you've got a difference between play sound and I think it's start playing sound, because one of them is synchronous, like the read head, if you will, the where we are in the program, one instruction after the other, will stop there until that's done. That's what synchronous call. Whereas asynchronous means that, yeah, it's going to do it in parallel. And then when file1 dot got text. So now this is another event handler, which is linked to file1, and it's when file1 dot got text. And when file1 dot got text, I don't really know what got text stands for. Presumably when we get text, like when we've loaded it, we will set our global minutes list. So we're loading the whole minutes list. So we're reloading the whole list from the list that we had in the file. But we only write to the file when we press the button. That's the clever bit. So we are, what was that? Set global minutes list to, and we're going to split the text get text. That's the text we've just gotten, right? When file.got text, and this is the name of the variable, we're going to split that by at every \n, at every line end, caret return. We're gonna split and build our list like that. So that's I can here take the setter, set global minutes list to, and that's going to be a split, which is a text block, which is, I'm going to call that burgundy. So I think join, can I just yeah, no, it's not join. I thought I could change the split text at, plug this at the right hand here. The text is text, so this is the context, which is what we call the scope, this kind of pinch block, comes with its own variable. So what we've got, the text that we have gotten from file1 is just going to go into a mini variable, well, not a mini variable, a variable that is local to this, just like you initialize one, that is just called text. And you can't change the name because it doesn't really matter, because we know that it's the text that you got. That's why it's called got text. And you can collapse and expand them. This is cool. And this is a text literal, so double quotes, \n. Actually be careful that it's actually backslash, right? You because they're not in the same place on the keyboard. So there's the one that starts in the, because this will trip you up, right? So this is the one that starts in the top left and ends at the bottom right. So depending on whether you're using a Mac or a PC, that might be in different places. How the splitting works? Well, we're going to split blocks. We take one piece of text, which is the text that we got from got text, right? And split it into several separate pieces. And this is the delimiter we're going to use to, to split. Imagine long, big text, all with dots in between. Using the split block would allow you to break this text up into the separate pieces of text and remove the dots. And at is how the text is going to get split. It's going to search for the string that we have here. And every time it finds it, chop off another piece of the text. And the actual separator is going to get removed. And then we end up with a list. Now we're going to sum up all the minutes that we've loaded to the file to display the total. Now, which means we're going to need to resum up. So that's a for each control block. Under the set global, so this is in the setter of global minutes list. Under this, right? So still in the got text, because that's the event handler. So when we're reading the text, we're going to set global time. So we've already initialized it. So set, I can take the setter here and pick global total time in the dropdown. We're going to sum all of these. So it's a for each item. Oh no, I'm sorry, I'm running around and doing my old things. What do we do? We set it to 0. No, we do set it to 0 first. Yes, no, I'm not making this up. We did set it to 0, and then we sum it with a for each, which is a control. So sorry, set it to math. It's just 0, or any number, just a number block, but it comes pre-packaged with a 0 in it, and then we have a control block, which is a loop for each item in list. You'll notice item looks like this. That's because at each iteration, an iteration is a pass of the loop item, but what is the variable item that you can get, which is helpful. You can set it less helpful, but you can definitely get it, and we're gonna need it, so I might as well pick it up. We'll take whatever value of each of the things in the list. So the list is minutes list. We're gonna get from here. And what we're going to do is sum probably something set global time to this plus the other, right? Which is a set, you set it, and then there's a blue sum block. So it's the setter of total time, which we just get from here. You hover over total time, and a sum block, which is going to be this one, to we're going to get total time again. I know I'm setting them, sorry, total time, not minutes list, yes. Total time to get total time and get item. Put this here real quick. And right click, clean up blocks, excellent. I'm putting the initialize at the top, so we initialize the variables, and then we have the handler of the screen. And let's put that like above as well, because this is kind of running at when the app opens. So that kind of makes more sense, because it's almost chronological in that we first initialize our thing, then we have the initialization and handler for screen 1, then we have the get text, which happens when we read the file. So that like happens right after, effectively. And then this is just like when the button is clicked. And then we need to redo our set label text, right? To get global total time, which was, so we were in here. It lives in the horizontal arrangement 2. That's our total label, and set total text after the sum, not in here, right? It needs to be within the got text, but after the for each, because we want to, once we finish summing the thing, doing the sums as it were, we will, and that's again total time, global total time. So when the file got text, I split the thing, I set it to 0, I sum everything, and then there. Test out your app to make sure it all works. Now, I'd love to do that. Can I do that in the designer? All right, 70. No, I can't. Or do I? Oh, build, right? Oh yes, that's good. I can live with that. Because I've got I have installed the thing. MIT app installer to go. Obviously, doesn't appear on your screen, so it's a bit. It's taking its sweet time to compile, isn't it? That's Java for you, right? The 6-character code. All right, I'm going to go and test it, but I'm pretty confident it works. And I will see you in the next video where we're going to be resetting, because of course, you may, well, I mean, we'll see what it means. Presumably reset everything to 0.